Well, in relationship to this upcoming event, I think, Christian, you shared the underlying intention of the event for sure. I can bring a little bit more context around why I decided to bring the piece that I would like to bring to this experience, this reimagined ALP. I remember when we first started doing ALP, and some of you were actually there, where it was pretty full on. It was joyful, it was experimental, and it was also a little bit exhausting, to be honest. I mean, it was amazing. And for those of you that were there, it's just like, if you were there for a weekend, it was probably sweet. But for those of us that were there for weeks and months, it was like, we needed a vacation after our, community experience. So from that experience, and having it take different sort of shifts and amalgamations over the years, and then my own personal experience of really coming into a place of realizing that for a very long time, I had been experiencing what at the time I would not have qualified or named as burnout. I had been experiencing my own version of burnout for quite some time. And I would cycle in and out. I would feel it, and then I would, feel better and more energized, more alive, did some work around it, and then I'd go back out, and then I have my own burnout. And so it looked very different. But what I noticed over time was that my capacity physiologically, but also mentally, just in general, my desire just started to go down. It started to wane a bit. And this was confronting for me, very confronting. Again, for those of you that have known me over the years, I tend to be like out there and lots of busy and doing things. And so it's quite confronting for me to feel both the capacity feeling like it was closing down in around me, but also my biology starting to really send out some strong responses. So I, over the last couple of years, have been really blessed, totally unexpectedly, but have been really blessed to have attracted a teacher, a mentor, who helped me to experience myself in a way that I really realized that when I thought I was in a parasympathetic, relaxed state, I indeed was actually not. My mind thought I was. My thoughts were saying, yeah, we're doing it. I was doing all the things, and yet my body was sending a very different response, but I wasn't tuned into it. I was listening to my mind, but I wasn't super tuned in until it was too late, and I was having, all kinds of physiological spells, from not being able to get out of the bed, for days on end, to blacking out, standing up and blacking out and passing out, to all of these heart palpitations, being rushed to the hospital, all of this very dramatic stuff that was going on, because I wasn't actually listening to the fact that I was not actually slowed down enough to be in tune with what is happening here. I could feel it in moments in an event. I could feel it in moments of a meditation. But as a lived way of being, what my teacher brought in for me was that I didn't have the consciousness, the physiology, the community, the environment. I did not set myself up to a place where every day, sustainably, this was my lived expression. And if I sort of found myself in a wobble, that I would know how to get myself back into my flow state. So this is what I've been with for the last several years. And it is such a joyful, relaxed, way more efficient and productive, surprising to myself even sometimes, to be moving in this slow state, to be moving in this relaxed, aware state. My sleep, my digestion, my effectiveness, my clarity with, my work, all the way around, I've been deeply served. So when like I said, I've been here at the Wellness Center now for, I think it's going on 2 years. In the process, it started about 2 years before that. So it's been a total of about 4 years. And people started to come that I was speaking to, or that were experiencing me, started to come to the center to spend time here with myself and my teacher. And it really wasn't about the therapies. It was around the beingness that we were in and moving through our day, and the imprinting that was coming from this lived experience. We've had men and women come that are deeply unwell in one way or another, physiologically, psychologically, challenged, overwhelmed. We've had parents, we've had couples that are coming to be in this space. And it really is, it's not anything we can teach. It's something that is learned. And it's by being in the presence of this being embodied in a real way, not just for an event, if you know what I mean. So when Christian came, he had his own experience here as well. And very similarly to mine, my initial experience and then Christian's experience, I got to see myself mirrored in him when he first came here. There is an inherent belief system that slowing down is somehow going to slow us down. And somehow whatever progress we desire or that we're making will somehow be thwarted, or it'll be interfered with. And what I noticed is that I saw it in myself. I saw it in others that were coming here as well. I was a bit like a balloon, sort of blown up, full, untie around the room, and then empty, flat, right? And I would do that maybe on a project or in a day or a week or whatever, but then I'd have to sort of pump myself back up and do all my practices to get built back up for the next project, conversation, relationship, whatever it might be. And it wasn't working, but I noticed my teacher would move through the space very slow, almost like in a meditation in his walking even. He would go in, he would accomplish whatever it was that he was there to accomplish, and then he would leave. And he'd go take a nap and have lunch and hang out, meditate, do whatever. And I thought, that is not possible for me, not with everything I've got going on. So I didn't really have anything to lose. And I tried it on, and I was very inspired. And by being in the presence of this over an extended period of time, I realized that my effectiveness, my joy increased substantially, far more than I expected. And now it's a deep desire of mine for me to share this with other people. So when Christian came, I was delighted, as you can imagine. I was delighted to have him come and slow down. And I got to see him tussle with it as well, right? And it was really quite something. So I feel very joyful to be having this experience coming in January. It's very late notice. Whomever feels called will be there. But I do hope that's something that will continue to grow and evolve and expand over time. Just one little quick story around thinking I'm one way and being another. My teacher had asked me to start to feel into if I could feel in the body when I was sympathetic and parasympathetic before I was in sort of like a triggered state, but the very subtle clues along the way. And sometimes I got it and sometimes I didn't. So he gave me, I brought this, I don't use this so much anymore because I've been more tuned in, but he gave me this thing, and it's a heart rate monitor. You stick your finger in, right? This little monitor, this little fancy device. And I was walking around with this thing all day long, every day, tucked on my finger. It's very inconvenient. And he'd asked me to do what I would normally do. So I went to the gym and was working out and, on the treadmill and the whole thing, do what I normally do, track my heart rate. And this one particular night, my heart rate, I could feel I was working. I was working out. So I was working, but I had been doing my breathing and these different practices that had me in. And I was at like 145, which is quite high for me. And so it was quite high. And I was pretty full on. So a couple of days later, I was sitting down to have a meal. I was by myself. So I wasn't engaging with anyone. I had made the meal. I had some time to relax before I sat down to eat it. I had nothing left on my agenda for the day. So I was going to eat, relax, take a nap, and see what life wanted to bring. So I was, in my mind, quite relaxed and also had made quite a yummy meal. So I was, very in my joy. And I sat down, and the first thing I noticed just from my own relaxed awareness that had been increasing was eating pretty fast. I was, chewing fast, feeding myself quite fast. So I tracked that and I slowed it down, gave myself, chew X amount of times type of thing to kind of give my mind something to do. And even in that period, the thoughts I would have around, wow, this is taking a long time, chewing 50 times. Oh, it tastes like soup. It's not as good as, oh, this is going to take forever. Like all of these thoughts I was having. Move past that, realized the next layer for me was I was looking at my plate and lining up in my mind what I was going to fork up to myself next. So I was, ready for the next bite. So I slowed that down, sat my fork down, relaxed, breathed a few times, which was really actually quite something for me to breathe in between bites. Okay, relaxation. Now I'm really in a relaxed state. I'm feeling pretty good. So I saw this monitor sitting on the kitchen table. So I reached over and I put it on. I thought, this is going to be good. I should be at about 65, 70. And I was at 139. That was such a significant moment for me to be in what I thought was a very relaxed state. The only thing I was engaging with was my own body and food. And I was basically at the same heart rate and nervous system response as I was when I was in a full workout, pushing it full on. And that's when I realized, shit, I don't know anything. I know nothing. And it started to bring me into a place of, let me really, truly, deeply tune in, because there's something going on with my body. She is telling me something that I'm not hearing. And this is going to manifest into something that is, not pleasurable in the end. So that's really the reason why I've said yes to being a part of this ALP, and to bringing what I feel is an integrity I can bring because of the work that I've been doing. And have been mentored in now for several years. And it just feels like it is something that we can all, in one way or another, be served by. Yeah, deeply served by. And allowing this to be something that we can take home, that we're not having some sort of epic retreat experience, or even just a relaxed experience in the event, but then we go home and everything starts to crumble away. But can we be in a relaxed state of awareness with consciousness, leaned back 80% with us, 20% with the world, and still be effective and connected and present with our world. So without collapsing or falling away into an internal nap where we don't get anything done. How do we have the balance? And it is a very delicate balance, and it's a yogic way of being, to establish yourself in a way to balance it out, where you can move in the world with what you're passionate about while also taking care here. So that is what I'll be bringing in January. Thank you for letting me share. It's a long one. The women's retreat is the 5th, 6th, and 7th. Yes, it's the first weekend of the first week. The women's retreat is specifically for practices and experiences that are unique to women. There are things that we both do that we both going to feel during the week, and then there's some that are specific for women that I'm wanting to bring in, that I found that in my own experience and with women coming or men coming to our wellness center here, there was something common that we did, and then there was also something very specific that women did together. And so that's what the focus will be. It's still around slowing way down inside, and also allowing that to expand our consciousness and bring in clarity, and to bring in stability and safety, that are some of the core pieces for a woman to feel like she is safe to be vulnerable and surrender into this pace. Can I even trust that I can get anything done? I have kids, I have purpose, I have a partner. Can I be in this state and trust that I will still be able to be with the world and engage? It's a big question for women. So that's what we'll be with over the weekend.